Hey, Daily Dosers, welcome to Bonus Monday. I'll never forget it. Just a handful of months had gone by since I had heard the news of my friend Ron, who was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And here I was at the hospital, standing right beside him. Really, he was having his last days. And I remember some of the things that he told me like it was yesterday. The first thing was, Arnold, what's going to happen with my kids? Like, I have no idea who's going to care for them, who's going to teach them things. He had 3 boys. And the next thing he shared with me was, I just want to get better, not only for my family, but so that I can continue to preach the gospel. He was a pastor friend of mine, dear, one of my best friends. It was only a few days later that he passed away. It was one of those moments in my life that just wrecked me and impacted me and my loved ones and my family. It paused life. It was one of those types of troubles, one of those types of tribulations. And I know that it didn't necessarily happen directly to me, but it impacted me severely. And it's things like that in our lives and things like that we go through, that when we then go and read James chapter 1 that tells us, consider it pure joy when you, brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds. I'm like, what? How? It's kind of romantic when you read it and you're not going through those things. But when you're in the thick of it, when you're in the middle of that tribulation and that trial, how do we read that and say, consider pure joy, that you will bring good out of it, that you will teach us out of it? It's difficult. So hear me when I say, and I lean in to what this actually taught me. What I'm not saying. I'm not saying that if we consider something pure joy, it diminishes or sets aside what happened. We should feel that, and we can cry out to the Lord with it. He hears us and He's for us. But I will say, years later, ways and reasons that I can consider it pure joy, things at that moment in that space taught me, that my friend taught me, even in the midst of losing his life, was this love. To love my wife and honor her as much as possible. Discipleship. To leave a good legacy to my boys in discipling them on a regular basis so that they grow up to be men of God. It taught me thankfulness that I'm alive, that I have breath in my lungs, and I can continue to go forward and to live. And it encouraged me to share the good news till the day I die. As I heard my friend, I just want to preach the gospel, and I know he's having his last breath, so I'm thinking to myself, I'm fine. What am I doing with this message, with this breath? So it encouraged me to preach the gospel as much as possible. How? How can we be joyful? How's that possible in the midst of various trials? Well, I would say because the giver of that joy is not from me or something earthly. It's from Jesus Himself, the unmovable God, the dependable God, the peace giver, one who understands our pain. He was impacted first, way before me or anyone else in what they go through in tribulation. He is the most offended party when sin tries to take over our own lives, or when we sin even in our own lives. So friends, you can't change your circumstances, but how you relate to it and what you do with it, that can be empowering. The Lord can bring goodness out of it, even when it seems so bleak. We live in a broken world where we will be impacted by sin and by evil things, but we get to walk next to a Lord who is impacted most and understands us the most. And He says He has us, and one day it will all be made new.